Good morning, Steph.
Hello, how are you?
Great, thank you.
Hey guys, busy over there right now.
Crazy, crazy busy as always.
I can
As
imagine.
always.
I can
Yeah,
imagine.
I'm a little grayer than I was a few months ago, I must say. But no, it's been a great couple of months for us actually. So
I found it really interesting chatting to you yesterday when we were talking about COVID cases. And you mentioned that you've got like 1,300 a day happening over there. So
yeah, it really does put things in perspective. That's for sure. It really
definitely don't get
does.
that in the
So
media. I definitely have not seen that in the media. So
yeah, we've definitely been dealt our fair share of challenges, but we're reacting to those and we're getting through, and yeah, it's been an interesting journey as it has been for lots of people, I'm sure. So
yeah,
hmm.
yeah,
we might
absolutely.
we might just give everyone just a few more minutes before we crack on.
Yeah, no
Um,
worries.
this is great. Welcome, guys. It's great to see so many people signed up and so many people logging on. This is great.
Yeah, I've been having conversations with people, every single day I talk to, 10, 20, 30 different leaders and new leaders, and just growth is really on the tip of their tongue right now. So I
Absolutely.
think this is a timely, very timely chat that we're having. Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. And we're seeing the same with clients, not just in real estate, actually. Lots of clients across lots of different industries really looking to embrace the opportunities now that are available coming out the other side. So
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to shut my door. Sorry, give me 2 seconds, Nick.
no problem.
We have a friendly office pet that comes in sometimes, and he was just at my feet, so I wanted to make sure
It's great.
he wasn't going to start barking halfway through our session. So
It's one of the nice things about the work from home environment. We've been able to meet lots of lots of interesting pets along the way. It's great.
yeah, I think a lot of people struggle with. I talked to a few ladies yesterday who had their small children at home. The poor things trying to have a business conversation and have their 2-year-old come up and try and grab pets and hold them and choke them and that sort of thing. So it's definitely been fun.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. Well, welcome everybody to today's webinar on organic growth 101. My name is Nick Ogden, and for those of you who don't know me, I'm the leader of this amazing business called Beepo. As Steph mentioned earlier, I'm based in the Philippines, here in Pampanga, Clark. Um, welcome, Steph. It's so
Thank you,
great to
thank
have you
you.
here and an opportunity to pick your brains over the next 45 minutes or so. Now, guys, feel free at any time to chat through any questions. We've got some questions that have already been shot through from some of our Beepo clients, which will get us started. But I mean, first of all, wow, what a crazy year 2020 has been so far. It's definitely dealt up its myriad of challenges for business leaders and across all industries and business types. And of course, Beepo included. You know, our business was heavily affected by COVID. We had to relocate 420 staff literally overnight. And of course, our clients have had to deal with so many challenges, including, in some cases, their revenues being decimated almost completely. So it's definitely the toughest thing that we've been through as a business. We've approached this though with a respond and react mentality, and then recover, and then now moving into an opportunity to thrive. March was the toughest month this business has ever been through. In April we really steadied the ship, and since then May and June and into July have actually been really, really great for us. And I guess doing the analysis of those last 4 months, one of the things that's really stood out is that we remained focused on the opportunities. And I've really pushed the team to continue to seek out opportunities and really, really chase that growth. The top of the funnel in a period like this is more important than ever. And I think that one thing, and having a really positive mindset to that approach, has really helped us more than anything. We've dealt with the challenges, but we focused on opportunity and growth. And of course, that's a great introduction to my amazing co-host, Steph, one of the industry's growth experts in real estate. Now, Stephanie, you're Senior Business Advisor and Performance Coach for Real Estate Dynamics. You've got an amazingly strong property management background with a number of awards and, of course, 12 years of hands-on experience, which is invaluable, of course, in advising clients. Nowadays with Real Estate Dynamics, you've got to focus for growing rent rolls and fast becoming the organic growth go-to guru. So for many agencies around Australia, you've facilitated over 25 BDM programs, and BDM will be a core focus of our chat today over the last 16 months. You've seen the good, the bad, the damn right, unproductive and ugly along the way. So welcome, Steph.
Thank you. So great to be here. And like I said, I've definitely come with a wealth of experience, having hands-on experience in property management. And my core focus now is to make sure that other people can harness that organic growth and, really drive their business toward whatever goal that is, whether it's 50 properties under management, 500, 5,000, whatever it may be. I'd love to help everybody get there.
It's always great to have the end goal in mind, isn't it, from the beginning? So wonderful. Now we've mentioned BDM, and of course it can be a key part of any organic growth strategy. However, traditionally it's a tough one actually to get right. Now, when recruiting for a BDM, what should a business look for?
Good question. Probably a lot of these questions I'll get asked every single day, but firstly, we need to take a look at the fact that a BDM is really a salesperson for the property management business. So you have salespeople who sell, properties to, investors or homeowners, but you have a BDM who is going to sell the services of your business to investor clients. So the temperament of the BDM needs to match the temperament of your salespeople. So most of the time a BDM, not all the time, but most of the time a BDM will be a very extroverted, people-focused kind of person. They're not going to be, introverted and task-focused, unfortunately. BDMs, the person you'd want to look for is going to be a very well-groomed person because they like to get in front of people all the time. They're quite talkative, they're very loud, they're very boisterous. They often lack attention to detail though. So they're in there to get the sale across the line and get that KPI, not necessarily thinking about, what happens once that management is actually pulled across. So whenever you're looking for a BDM, make sure you're looking for somebody who is that outgoing and vibrant kind of person, very goal orientated, very focused and driven by results. And remember, you're always going to have to nurture that as well and really validate their results to make sure that they stay motivated moving forward.
Yeah, and I think it's so important to look for somebody who's coachable as well. The business is changing so quickly and so fast. You need somebody that can accept directions and also can be held accountable to some of those KPIs, given that salespeople are traditionally, they lack focus and they have some struggles there. They also need to be able to be held accountable to some of those KPIs. I totally agree.
Absolutely.
Now, can a property manager do BDM work at the same time? Is that something that you've seen work in the past?
Yeah, look, I'm not saying it can't work, it can work. And, startup businesses, a lot of them, come from a property manager who has decided to step out on their own. They have a wealth of experience, in property management, and they've decided to start growing their own rent roll. So their passion therein lies in growing their own business, and they have a lot on the line when it comes to growing that business. So I guess their passion for growth is quite different to somebody who has an existing portfolio and is an employee who manages those properties. So it definitely can work, but where it does come unstuck is where you have perhaps, a property manager or a couple of property managers managing, 100, 150 plus properties, and then a leader who puts the pressure on them to grow the rent roll at the same time as they have to service the client. So you can't rob from Peter and give to Paul. Something, you have to have that give and take. And unfortunately, when you give to, growing the rent roll, it usually takes away from the serviceability you're giving your existing clients. So first of all, take a look at, how many clients your current property managers are servicing and the standard that they are giving those clients. And if they're to take away that focus at all for even an hour or 2 hours a day to focus on the growth role, is that going to sabotage the existing client communication that you have there? The next thing you need to take a look at is, what's the expectation for growth on that PM as well? Attrition accounts for, look, we like to say about 10% for natural attrition. Unfortunately, we see every single day, it's usually up around that 15 to 17%. 10% is unpreventable losses. So 10% of your rent roll, is going to either sell, or they'll move into it, or they'll have a family member move into it. So nothing you can do is really going to stop that from happening. But usually 5 to 7% of your rent roll, unfortunately, we see preventable losses. So mismanagement, poor communication, and just unhappy clients. So, take a look at, now we're in a new financial year, great time. Take a look at what your losses were for the last financial year. And then you're going to set a target there. So, if you have a portfolio of 250 or 300 properties, you're looking at over 30 managements lost in a year. And if your PM has to focus on growing that rent roll by an additional 3 properties a month, that's a lot of pressure to put on somebody who is already trying to offer that service to your clients.
Yeah, ultimately, no matter what business we're in, organic growth is directly linked to your service offering.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that we focus on, and really from the beginning of this, the beginning of Beepo, sort of six and a bit years ago, we've always measured our customer satisfaction. Now we use NPS. We use it for both our client satisfaction and also for our internal staff satisfaction as well. And I think it's really, really important to measure your success when it comes to your service offering, because it allows you to, first of all, it's a really great way to get referrals, because if you do NPS and you get an amazing 9s and 10s and great comments, they're great people to reach out to for opportunity. But equal to that, it's also doing the analysis of the ones where you're not getting it right, and then really figuring out backwards, what can we fix to ultimately drive the business forward. So I would highly recommend NPS. It's super simple. It's really easy. It's really easy to set up, and it's a great way to constantly health check your business. I wouldn't do it too often. We do it biannually here at Beepo, but I can certainly highly recommend NPS as a way to drive organic growth in your business.
I second that, absolutely.
Great. Now, how can so we spoke about productivity, we spoke about accountability. Now, how can a business set those targets for a BDM in their business?
Okay, couple of things a business leader needs to look at when they are, setting targets for a BDM. First and foremost, a BDM should always be a cost of sale to the business. So a lot of leaders, allocate them as an expense, like your property managers, but really they're not. They're a salesperson, so their wage should be a cost of sale to the business. So you need to factor in, what are you paying them, monthly or fortnightly, whatever it may be. And then what is going to be the KPI to make sure that their wage is covered and brought back into the business? And then what is going to be your growth goal on top of that? So again, then having a look at what your attrition is. If you have a rent roll of 250 properties, your attrition is say 10 to 15%. So you're losing around 25 to 30 properties a year. Bear with me here, it's about 2.5 properties a month that they're going to lose. And then you have to grow on top of that. So say you want to grow by 100 properties a year, you're going to have to grow probably about 8.5 properties a month to grow 100, and then an additional 2.5 to recover the loss on top of that as well. So that's already like 11 properties a month that you're going to need to have the BDM introduced into the company, that's signed and, revenue generating properties in order to actually grow the business by 100. So it's really important for leaders to get very realistic about that, because I talk to a lot of people every day and they go, well, I just don't know why I'm not growing. Like, they're bringing in 5, 6, 7 properties a month. And I think, well, that's because you have a rent roll of 500 and you're losing 50 every single year naturally. And then if your team aren't performing and your losses are up around that 17% attrition, you're actually going backwards, even if your BDM is bringing in 6 properties a month, 7 properties a month. So you need to take a look at all of those things and factor it into there. And if you're losing 17% management, you need to come and talk to me about coaching.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the other thing about sales, it's always been numbers. It's all about numbers. Now at Beepo, with our internal sales team, we don't just track results. We also track productivity, and we do that on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. Of course, we have an internal resource here that works with our sales team that constantly throws those reports. So daily, I get a report on the activity of our sales team, both on meetings, on phone calls, on all of the different components, and breaking that down to a productivity target as well as a sales target, because they're directly linked. And if you're constantly measuring that, you're also constantly keeping your sales team accountable to their productivity as well, and ultimately will lead to results.
And it's Peter Drucker. He wrote a few business books. You may have heard of him. He said the quote, "If you don't measure it, you can't improve it." And so with all of our BDMs, we actually measure the number of dials that they make and then the number of connects that they have. So we want to see what that conversion rate is. And then out of those connects, how many of those led to a listing presentation as well. So we can then see the conversion with connects to listings. Then out of that, how many converted. So we can actually see how many dials does it take to convert to a new management. So do they have to pick up the phone 150 times in order to have a new business secured for the company? So really critical for a leader to measure those numbers every single day. A lot of our BDMs have a very quick, huddle every single morning to say, look, these are the numbers I did yesterday. This is what my goal is today. This is, the business that I've got across the line. And then every week, a leader should be sitting down with their BDM to have a KPI meeting and talk about their results for the week, their key focuses for the following week, any improvements that they could possibly make, and where they feel that maybe they can make an improvement as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And in prospecting and activity, it's so important to the success of any sales role, but in particular that BDM role, it's absolute paramount.
Absolutely.
Now, we touched on this early on. As I said, we've gone through some big challenges ourselves, and one of the things that's really helped us is mindset actually of our salespeople, because we've had this myriad of challenges down here. But I've continued to drive our sales guys to focus on opportunity, not look down at the challenges that our businesses focus all the time, to be continually looking up for opportunity and growth. Of course, you can't do that unless you get the mindset piece right, but it's challenging too, particularly in a time like this. So how can a BDM maintain that positive mindset, through a downturn and indeed, through challenges like we're dealing with now?
Yeah, it's hard for some people. Like BDMs, as I mentioned before, and I relate because I'm very much like this. We're very extroverted people. So we feed off everybody's energy. And if we're constantly being given that negative energy all the time, we unfortunately embrace it and we suck it in, and we can tend to very quickly turn negative ourselves. So I mentor a team and a group of, a very small group of PMs and BDMs that I like to work very closely with, really gun people that I know are going to perform. And I actually have them listen to a lot of podcasts, either on a commute if they're driving, in the bathroom when they're getting ready in the morning, at the gym. So I find that they need to really constantly fill their mind with, positive influence. So these podcasts don't necessarily have to be real estate related at all. A lot of the time, it's life motivation. It's listening to what other people have struggled with and overcome to remind themselves, look, I can actually get through this. Today's going to be a really great day. And then when you listen to other high energy performers, you tend to embrace that as well and think, you know what, I'm going to absolutely run my day today. And I'm going to maximize my performance and get the results that I'm looking for. So I strongly urge everybody out there to plug in, listen to an audiobook, listen to a podcast. I'm more than happy to make any recommendations if anybody is looking for any, and really start to fill your mind constantly with people who have overcome challenges before and see the light on the other side of things.
So important in leadership to be leading by example in that space. You know, your team are going to have ups and downs, and particularly in sales. I'm a salesperson myself, so traditionally there's a bit of ups and downs, but it's really important for leaders to refocus that energy all the time on the opportunities and to always keep their energy up. And it's no time like the present for leaders to really shine through. Now, it's great to see some questions coming through, guys. So please keep them coming through in chat. I've got one here from Peter for you, Steph. A BDM with experience within PM who moves to fully BDM is gold. Clients appreciate their knowledge and also just that personal interaction. Can you share your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So was it a PM that moves to a full-time BDM role?
Yes. So a PM who moves for a PM with experience and also has that relationship, I guess, with the client base that moves to BDM. Can you share your thoughts on how to make that a success?
Absolutely. I can actually talk about that from experience as well myself, because that was me essentially. So the good thing about somebody who comes from a wealth of experience in property management moving over into a BDM role is that they're able to nail any question, that a client can throw at them during a listing presentation, because you know the industry like the back of your hand. You know, depending on how long you've worked in that particular agency, you know the processes and procedures like the back of your hand. So you speak all the time with energy and confidence going into the meeting, knowing exactly how your company is going to look after that property. So I think it absolutely can work. The trick therein lies in just making sure that that person has the personality that can succeed as a BDM, because what makes up a really good property manager doesn't necessarily always make up a good BDM. And that's just generally speaking. There are definitely exceptions to it. I, for one, am myself. But a lot of really good property managers they're very task focused. They're very focused on their own relationships with their clients, and they don't necessarily want to add to their own workload. So they're probably not going to be a great BDM if they have to manage the property themselves. But you can definitely find some fantastic BDMs in your property management department, and a good leader will see the signs of those as well.
Yeah, and I would add to that too. I think anytime you're going to transition somebody in your business from one role to another, and even if it's just a change in tasks, as you said, I think it's really important to clearly define those from the beginning. So redo the position description for that person as you move them from one role to another, but also be clear that you need to take stuff away as well. Yeah. So if you're going to transition somebody out of the property management team and into more of a BDM focused role, you really need to clearly define what tasks they're going to continue on with and the stuff that you're going to take away and give to somebody else in your business. So fantastic. Great question and great discussion point. Keep them coming, guys. That's great. This is a great one. I love this. So what are these 7 channels of growth that we keep hearing about? So it's a great question from one of our clients.
Yes. So I don't like giving it away all the time, but Nathan tells me that it's okay to. So the 7 channels of growth are 7 different avenues of lead generation. They 4 of those can be found in the 4 walls of the majority of agencies, and 3 of those are colder leads. So naturally through any program that we facilitate, we try to harness the 4 warmer leads first, because usually you can convert them over sooner. So the first of that is obviously a sales team. So not every property management office has a sales team, but please, You don't have to have a sales team to be successful as a BDM. Those who rest on their laurels will say, oh, you know, BDM, the sales team aren't giving us those leads. Look, if we were just relying on a sales team giving us leads, administrators can transact that new business. You don't really need a BDM. A BDM should be building and growing their own pipeline to drive more business than what the salespeople are already referring into them. So first one is salespeople. The second one is your current landlords and clients. So jump into your database of existing clients and see who has an investment property and if they can recommend anybody to you. Key point in there is do not discredit your tenants. There are a lot of rent investors right now, and there are more and more of them coming into our market. So reach out to your tenants as well. Every conversation that you have with your tenant and with your client should be treated like you're wanting to, give that 10-star service to them so that they can refer clients back to you. So definitely tap into that channel as well. Channel 3 is our tradies. So please ask your tradespeople if they have an investment property. Most handymen and builders and plumbers and electricians will probably have an investment because their friends have probably helped them build it. So if you're giving them business, why not ask them if they have a property that you can manage? They also go into a lot of vacant properties all the time as well. So if you spark up a really great relationship with some of your close tradies, they can potentially be some, prospectors or home finders for you. Channel number 4 is our referral partners and suppliers as well. So if you have a startup business, this is a channel that I implore you to embrace. Reach out to local accountants and conveyancers and mortgage brokers, buyer's agents in your area, and buy them a coffee. Start a conversation to see if they would be happy and comfortable referring their clients over to you. I personally have had huge success with a buyer's agent. I grew a very strong relationship with one, and he was referring around 4 to 6 clients a month over to our company. So they can absolutely pay dividends if you make sure that you're servicing their clients with, exceptional standards, because those people are usually going to, purchase more property and grow their portfolio. That's usually the reason they've engaged in a buyer's agent as well. So that's channel number 4. Channel number 5 is landlords who buy through other agents. So taking a look at who is currently buying through other agencies. Channel number 6 is landlords who have an investment property with other agencies. So naturally looking at realestate.com and that sort of thing to see where other properties are listed. And channel number 7 are our private landlords. Guys, jump on to Facebook Marketplace. It is a goldmine full of private landlords, needing to rent out their properties. And the best time to secure a new management is when the property is vacant, because that's when your landlord is the most vulnerable. So there you have it, your 7 channels of growth. I've given it all away now. My secret is done.
Fantastic, but absolute gold, some solid gold in there, Steph. So awesome, thank you for sharing. So this is a great question and really pertinent to the time we're in right now. We work from home, it's saw this rapid movement to technology, and interestingly saw businesses that have been dragging their heels for a long time, I guess, on getting their technology piece right, all of a sudden having to really jump to it. But how can a BDM embrace prop tech to support their role?
Yeah, so we really want to simplify their pipeline management. We want to simplify their communication touch points with your clients. So there are a few different studies to suggest how many touch points somebody needs before they will actually engage in your business. So embrace whatever, CRM you have. I know Pipedrive is a really popular one. IRE BDM is another popular one. And if you have a sales team, a lot of people are now engaging in Rita by Air. So that's another great one to tack on to your property management or your BDM, sorry. So using those, set your communication cadences with your clients. And automate the communication that goes out to them so that you're not so people dependent on having to always pick up the phone. So you may set, 10 communication touch points so that you're sending out, educational information to them, or perhaps deals that are on a local area information to them. Because remember, people will only come to you when they know, like, and trust you. So once they know, like, and trust you, they'll feel comfortable actually giving you their investment property to manage there. So really harness the CRM that you have, harness the tech that you have in your company, and automate as much of it as you possibly can without sacrificing that human engagement.
Yeah, great answer. And now we spoke about the BDM role being really sales focused. They've got to continually be driving new listings to the business. But traditionally not great with the other side of the coin, which is the administration and all of the really important things that we need as business leaders. Now, that raises the questions of BDM assistant. So how can a BDM assistant support a BDM to really drive the numbers, and if you can go one step further and just give us recommendations on how they could support a BDM in terms of the tasks they might do day to day.
Yeah, absolutely. So before any leaders in the background switch off and go, I'm not getting my BDM an assistant, an assistant can very much be used across property management and BDMing as well. So if you have the one person, they can be spread across the two and help out with both parts of your company. So a BDM's role should be prospecting, listing, presenting, and signing new business. Like, if it doesn't fall into one of those four things that they're doing, they shouldn't be doing it. Anything that involves sitting behind a computer and doing data entry and not necessarily having to speak to a person or leave the office to do anything, get rid of it. The BDM shouldn't be doing it. That's just a really great excuse for them not to meet their KPIs. And it's a valid excuse because it is time consuming. So the more they have to sit there and enter in their management authorities or upload marketing or set their open for inspections if they do those, then that's less time they spend working on their pipeline or going out to meet a client or prospecting, whatever it may be. So as much as you possibly can, send a lot of that admin work. Beepo is a great company that you can use to send it over to.
Good segue to us.
Yeah, so some of the things that the administration can help out with, though, is entering your Form 6s or your management authorities, depending on where you are. They can do the marketing for the properties, upload it, to the different platforms. They can create and do the copyright, just give them the photos that they need. And that's how a lot of property managers do it without even seeing the property. So give them the photos and have them create the content. They can set the inspection runs. If they access, your prop tech, they can hit the OK button to send out the communication to your clients. They can, give you your prospecting list for the day and give you the numbers that you need to call. So really send as much of the manual, admin tasks as you possibly can to somebody else so that your BDM can focus on solely growing your business.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing we always talk about here at Beepo is it's the right people in the right roles doing the right stuff, and a lot of the time we see, of course, not just in real estate, in all businesses, you see some really highly talented people, but also quite expensive as well in terms of their role, but doing some really low end tasks that's not driving your business forward. So wherever you can, think about, is this the best use of my time as a leader? Is it the best use of our people's time? And if the answer is no, you've got to get rid of it. You've got your business is run to the knife edge when it comes to finances these days, and you've got to make sure you're maximizing investment in all areas of business, but really no bigger area of investment than in people resources. So you need to make sure that you're getting the most out of those. So yeah, it's a great point. It really is. Now, we've spoken about leadership a lot here today, and of course, it's, supporting the BDM. A leader really needs to drive that forward, and we spoke about some KPIs and accountability, but also support. It's so important. So how can a really good leader support their BDM?
It can be a pretty fine line to walk between wanting to encourage your BDM and needing to performance manage your BDM at the same time. So like we spoke about before, BDMs have to have KPIs. They have to be producing, a revenue for the business. They have to be covering their wage expenses, and they have to also be growing the business at the same time. So a leader should always be motivating and encouraging the small wins for the BDM, because the majority of BDMs out there, with the personality traits that they do have, they thrive on recognition, they thrive on reassurance, they thrive on validation. And that's, coming from somebody who does myself. So I'm definitely not, putting it out there to anybody else. It's not the wrong thing at all. It's just what drives certain personalities. So make sure anytime your BDM has a small win, you celebrate that small win. Sit down every week and have your one-on-one. Take the time to listen to what the challenges are. You don't necessarily have to agree with all of the challenges, but just take a moment to have a listen to them. And then obviously keeping track of that performance management. So if your BDM sits down and you know that they've dialed 100 people and 25 people have picked up the phone and only one of them has wanted to have a listing presentation, you can see that they have gone out there and they have tried to do those things. Now, in saying that, BDMs should be doing about 25 connects a day. So if they're, coming to you and they've done 20 connects for the week, that's something that you perhaps need to address and say, right, where's the breakdown with the number of dials that you're making? And dials are controllable. Whereas people answering is uncontrollable. So where's the lead list? Like, are they short of, numbers to call from people, or, where are they trying to target? And have a look at the script that they're using. Is the script working? Is it not working? So you need to continuously be quite involved with your BDM. Don't just hire them and go, right, they look great on paper, let's just, you go and do your thing. Really embrace that, reassure them that you're there to support them all the time, celebrate those small wins, but also monitor what their performance is, particularly with, so many people working remotely now.
Yeah, and I recommend getting your hands dirty once in a while too. You hire a BDM, but you're the leader of the business, and sometimes it just it does you the world of good to get stuck in on the floor, on the ground level, make some calls yourself. Share that energy when you're making calls together. It's you feed off each other sometimes when you're doing that, and it's also great fun to get back and get stuck in on the floor as well. So I certainly recommend that. Now lots of the questions that lots of questions coming through, Steph, but some are from smaller businesses that are starting out on their journey, and it's of course in the early days it's hard to justify a BDM. So what's your advice for a business like that? He's starting out on this real estate journey, but obviously looking to grow the organic growth in particular. What's your recommendation for those guys to drive growth in their business in the early days of startup?
Yeah. So my first piece of advice that comes to mind is don't rest thinking you're going to get a bunch of inbound leads coming to you and you're just going to sit there casually and sign the management agreements and everybody's going to come over to you. So firstly, get your hands dirty, exactly like you've just said yourself. Pick up the phones. You're going to start needing to call and make connects with the referral partners like accountants and lenders and buyer's agents. Start taking people out for coffee, start networking, perhaps join a BNI group and start going to those BNI meetings as well. But to grow organically from zero, from a startup company that doesn't have brand awareness, you will need to start networking with as many people as you possibly can in order to generate that brand awareness and also to get your name out there and know people more and more. And that, again, know, like, and trust.
Yeah.
So that's my first piece of advice. Secondly, I would really embrace social media right now. So don't just sit there and post one thing a day and think, why have I only got 16 followers on my new page? Most successful social media influencers will post 4-5 times a day, but you can't just be posting sales, pitches to people. You need to be posting educational information that's relevant to people and what they want to hear. So if you're starting a new business, hopefully you've done some customer and market research, so you know your target demographic and what they're looking for, perhaps what their challenges are and what their needs are, and then harness that and focus that into your social media posts so that people look at it and go, right, that's a need of mine and that's something I'm really struggling with, and this company can actually solve that problem for me. And again, it might take 10 or 12 touch points for it to actually turn into a lead, but keep going with it. Like if you give up after a month, it's not going to happen for you. Like a lot of these things can take 3 or 4 months to even generate, that first listing, but you have to keep going. You can't give up on it.
Yeah, an inbound strategy is a luxury. It's not something that you can turn on like that. It takes years and years to get an inbound philosophy working. And we are, I speak from experience here. I've been with Beepo since the startup days when we were, just a business of a few people, and we've grown, to over 420 as we sit today. But that journey was a long one, and it was hard work and hard graft in the early days. But these days we have a really strong marketing department. We embrace technology, and our sales team now really are in a luxurious position where they enjoy purely highly qualified inbound leads, and our system automates the way that those leads are distributed through. And we use the tool, CRM tool called HubSpot, which has been invaluable for us as a business. Now, I've had quite a few questions flying in, Steph, as we've been going along. But this is a great one, and I think it's super relevant to what we were just talking about. But constantly finding leads and lead lists can be difficult. So do you have any recommendations for people on leads lists?
Yes. So depending on obviously the business that you're set up in. So firstly, if you have a sales arm in your business, your buyer inquiry register is dynamite. So go back 3 years ago in your buyer inquiry register. A really great script, I can't believe I'm going to give away, is just call and say that you're collecting data for your agency. So you'd like to see if they have made a purchase in your local area and if they purchased as an investment or to live in themselves. So immediately that's going to tell you if they own an investment property in your area, and that's going to give you a conversation starter. So from there, you can either keep the conversation going, how are you going with your investment? Is there any challenges that you're facing? Is it what you thought your property management journey would be? Or you can end the conversation and then use that as a touch point in a couple of weeks' time. So use that to pick up the phone in a few weeks and say, it's Stephanie from Real Estate Dynamics. I spoke to you a couple of weeks ago. I just wanted to check in and see how things are going with your investment during these challenging times. Have you had, any issues with your tenants or with the rent that's coming in for your property? So again, just try and help them as much as you possibly can. But use that data gathering approach to start the conversation as opposed to a sales approach to go in there. So firstly, buyer inquiry register, that's going to be my first point. If we don't have one of those in our agency, hate to break it to you for those startups, but you need to get onto Google and you need to have a look at all of the businesses in your local area. I work with a BDM at the moment, and he would have dialed and spoken to he would have spoken to over 300 local businesses. So he would have dialed probably over 500-600 times in order to speak to them. But he is now generating new business based on those conversations from 3 or 4 weeks ago. So they do pay off. You do have to put in the effort, but you have Google right in front of you. So if you sit back and say, well, I've called 10 businesses here, that's not going to cut it. You need to actually, you need to actually get in and get that work done. Sales only businesses as well. So if you're a property management only business, call the sales only businesses out there and see if you can strike up, a referral system. letting them know that when their client is ready to sell again, you'll refer the business straight back to them and you won't sell it through your agency as well. So I would look at targeting those in my local area too.
Yeah, fantastic. We've got lots of questions coming in, guys, and I'm also conscious of time. So if we don't if we don't get to them all, please feel free to reach out after the webinar, and I'm more than happy to answer questions offline. And I know Steph is Steph is also. And yes, we will make the recording available as well post today. Just take a little time for our team to put that together and send it out. So now we get into some of the support programs and that are available. So what are some of those support programs that you can do and you can go through as a business to grow your BDM?
Yeah.
Your BDM.
So we have a BDM performance program. Now, it's not designed just for a BDM though. I have a number of leaders come through it. I have a number of startup businesses come through it, and I have BDMs who are, at the infancy stage of their career through to, very, very experienced BDMs. So the program, it's an 8-week online program. It's all facilitated via Zoom. We meet as a group every fortnight, but there's only about 5 to 6 people in the group. We keep them quite intimate because I do work with them a lot on the off weeks as well. So we cover things like the 7 channels of growth. We cover, your weekly planner, and if you're a PM or a BDM or a leader, like how you're going to allocate time to focus on the growth role of the business. So we work that out. We take a look at your listing kit and your listing presentation. It's the key point of the program that all of my BDMs dislike because they have to record themselves doing a listing presentation and send it through to me. So a little bit nerve-wracking from a lot of people, but one of my favorite parts of the program. We then go on and have a look at the objections you're going to receive. So like my fee, the guy next door is going to charge me 6%, you're charging me 7%. Can we negotiate? And then taking a look at a professional development plan. So we create a personalised professional development plan for each of our attendees, and they can use that toward their goal moving forward. So really breaking down what their goal is. It may be an annual goal, it may be a 5-year goal. Look, it could be a 6-monthly goal. But we make that incremental and figure out, where are the gaps in getting to that goal? What do we need to do? And how are we going to get there? So it's an 8-week online, it's a very intense learning program, but the results I've seen are just phenomenal. The leaderboard still sits with my friend Jamie Lee from the Sunshine Coast. She got 44 new managements in those 8 weeks. And by the way, they only have a team of about 2 or 3 salespeople in that business. They do not have a large sales team. So she did not sit there and wait for those leads to come through to her. Then we have Rebecca from Ray White Toronto. She got 36 new managements. Heidi, she is from South Yarra in Melbourne. She got 38 new managements. And my dear friend Leanne in Tasmania, her first 8 weeks as a BDM, never been in real estate before. She got 31 new managements in 8 weeks. So it is a cracking program. It is make or break. So if you do have a new BDM that is fresh in your business, I can guarantee you this program is a great test of whether or not they're going to be a good BDM for your business.
Yeah, fantastic. I've got a question from Eddie about the program. So it's actually in my notes here, Eddie, actually to share with you. So we will be sharing the recording after this program, but maybe, Steph, you can share the standout BDM performance program and the offer post this webinar that will go out in a link.
Yes. So my next program, guys, it kicks off on August 4, which I believe is about 2 weeks, on a Tuesday at 9 a.m. So you would have to be there Tuesday, 9 a.m. for about 45 minutes, and then it's every fortnight thereafter on the Tuesday at 9 a.m. But again, I do talk to you in the off weeks as well. Now, for anybody who has sat in on today's session, we are going to give you, thanks to Beepo, 20% off. So it's a savings of over $300. So you can join my 8-week program for $1,320 instead of $1,650. So take advantage of that. We will be sending everybody some correspondence after with a code that you can use. Or you can just email me and let me know. And we can get you signed up and into that. But I do only have, I believe, 4 spots left in that one.
Okay, fantastic. Well, guys, be quick, be quick to take advantage. Steph, first of all, thank you so much for your time. We've had some absolute solid gold here, and we really appreciate you sharing with us this morning. Once again, guys, if there's anything we can do to support at Beepo, please feel free to reach out. Or indeed, if we didn't get to your question today, please feel free to shoot us an email or chat offline, and I'm more than happy to share my insights at any time. And if there's anything we can do to support, yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Nick.
Awesome. No worries. It's so great to see you, Steph. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Pleasure.
Really
Thanks,
appreciate your
guys.
time. Thank you.
Bye.